đô la đăng vợ chim bên ra nương vợ chim bên khe dharam ba đăng tham chim chim bên vợ đơ chim vợ chim tham chim tu chim bên ha nam ga đăng nham bên sim chim tham chim dewa đăng Dong he dan ra nhờ đơ la nam bên ba yang đô vợ tu bơ sa Rinpoche thom baran dham
Lukol ba'alei atoda arakiya ensforim ma'otai bimiuchad oivim asher oti son'im מבקשי רעתי אשר פוגעים בי המפריעים ומכשילים את דרכי לשחרור וידיעה לו ידעו אמושר וישתחררו מסבל לו מהר אביא אותם להערה מושלמת יקרה מוחלטת אשר אין כמותה.
Mahim Bandaling Ayesam Gewalang Diderin Hezong Denyam Masang Dazam Jambara Ling Ayesam Gewalang
לפיכך עד הערה אפעל באופן חיובי בגוף דיבור ותודעה עד מותי אפעל באופן חיובי בגוף דיבור ותודעה מעתה ועד מחר בזמן זה אפעל לחיוב בגוף דיבור ותודעה
San je qiu dan cai jin qiu nam ha Zan ju ban du dan ne jia zun Dan gen jin za jin ben za nan jin Da lan ben zira san Jin ba ra yu
Babuddha Badama Basanga Na'ala Ad להערה אקח מקלט בזכות נדיבות ושמידות טובות לו אשיג בודיות לרווחת כולם
Manam Galanyam Besim Jintam Jindewadan Devejan Dhambaran Juran Dong Edan Dong Ejan Jadan Ravaran Juran Dong Hem Ben Dewadan Ravaran Juran Nyeran Chadan Jadan Ravaran Dan Hyom Lan Hem Baran Jurun
לו כל בעלי התודעה רקיע אין ספורים אותה ידעו אושר וסיבות לאושר לו השתחררו מסבל ומן הסיבות לסבל לו לא ייפדו אף פעם משמחה שאין בה שמץ סבל לו יהיו שרויים בשוויוניות חופשיים מהיקשרות ומדחייה.
Page number 8 Short mandala
עמוד 9
Homo Kecha Sayem benje sayem benondra hera lenyen lenyen ban sanje jeng lam ben pravayen dong nam da jeng den jeng ba Chung gazam yon zolam yetonan lan Chenang azazam de yin 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 chu Dali lan jun hazi yung yi la La bi geng dun zaran dun
קרקע נרחבת זו, משוחה במי בשמים וזרועה בפרחים, מאותרת בהר מרו, בארבע יבשות, בשמש, בירח. בהגישי כל זאת כסתה בודה, לו כל בעלי התודעה יזכו באושר שדות התואר. לגורו בעל 3 הקיות, אגיש מנחה חיצונית, פנימית וסודית. את גופי, הוני ואת כל עולם המופעים. אנא הענק לי את הסידי הנעלה שאין למעלה ממנו הערה. Om Guru Deva Dakini Ratna Mandala Pratitsa Soha
San Sarvadan Chujin Shambhala Jisa Yaran Guru Jin Survayi Gewa Jung Zindan Gijin Sambha Tham Jin Zambha
אקדיש כל חיוביות אשר צברתי בהשתתחות, וידוי, הגשת מנחה, שמחה באושרו של הזולת, הפצרה ותפילה, למען הערה מושלמת של כל בעלי התודעה.
Om zam len jian tham bian dong su yong lan jia zin mian jiar wan do de jian qiang an pan jin ding gun bi xiao lan de tian dan de sam jie qi lian miao sin jie lo yin tui jian Ning men ba san le jiang an sim zhi dan de do sin jie lo
תכשיט תבל שאין שני לו נותן המחסה, תהילתך נודעת ברחבי 3,000 העולמות, וג'רדרה המנצח ללא עוררין, בכבוד עקוד לרגליך האב ג'יקטן סונגון. בכל רגע אין דבר אחר לחשוב עליו מלבדך. בחמלתך הענק לי את ברכתך. הסר את החשיכה האופפת את ליבי. ברכני שאתוודע לטבע התודעה הנעדרת מורכבות.
Sim jia nam jia sam ban tang an lo ye se ra jia da wa jie chung te mong ten ba ye ju jian ho long oran de ho
אנא, סובב את גלגל הדרמה של 2 המרכבות, הגדולה והקטנה, והתרגולים המשותפים להן, בהתאם לנטיותיהם וליכולתם של כל בעלי התודעה.
Mahamudra, this hero.
עמוד 28. מזמור היווכחות בדרך המחומשת של מהמודרה מאת ג'יקטן סונגון. כל עוד לא גמלה בלבך החלטה להדהיר את סוס האהבה והחמלה על ידי עזרה לזולת, תשועות האלים ובני האדם לא תשמענה בכיכר העיר, לפיכך שנס מותניים ושקוד בתודעה זו המקדימה. כל עוד גופך שלך, מלך הצורות הנשגבות, טרם כבש את כס הבסיס הנצחי, אספת הדקיניות האימהות לא תתקהלנה סביב, לפיכך שנס מותניים ושקוד בגוף, העידם הנשגב. כל עוד שמש המסירות לא זרחה על הר השלג של 4 קיות הגורו, פלגי הברכה לא יזרמו. לפיכך שנס מותניים ושקוד בתודעה זו התמסרות. כל עוד חשרת ענני ההמשגות טרם התפזרה ברקיע התודעה עצמה, הפלנטות והכוכבים של הידיעה כפולת הפנים לא יזהרו בבירות. לפיכך שנס מותניים ושקוד בתודעה חפה ממחשבה. כל עוד לא מרקת באמצעות תפילת שאיפה את אבן החן מגשימת המשאלות של שתי הצבירות, הפרי המיוחל לא יבשיל. לפיכך שנס מותניים ושקוד בהקדשה זו הנקודה הסופית.
또 장가 고고 장마고 동진장제달라 나로나마 바빌라 저저간보바 방어로바 저와동 가주라마 남라서 와데 오미시지 자포라네 아서 사제 그정원이 라든 저간가도데 사벨라메 잘라서 와데 어서서 동아jan다 조진진 야자메 뭐정아지나 선제 동단자다 지나 다바 주제점도 자도소 그리 저는 주도하는 바라데 다 레슨소 고간 가딩에 고 차강 도치송 이거를 들으면 먹고 쇼거래 내는 가딩 시바데 대적당 나와 사지바 너무 조금 많이 봐 참 것들이 참하게 냠리지든 로고요래 로고요는 들이 람 이다가 카카카카 소소다 좋다라는 것들이 나와를 요리 좀 대답했더니 사업바 탐제 대답 상고요래 들이 많이 반대 하 고정전에 근데 남과 로조가 좀타 참하게 올랑가 찍을 줘도 당번 로스 랑과랑 맨카카나 랑과 찍을 줘도 사토는 제버싱 톱자 찍토고도 sommer 대사와 하고나들이 대고 제대로 마디서 람탐신양 전에 말 네 정치뿐만이 막좀 다 용서를 거고요래 대회들이 다 짜치와는 바테리.
So, my Dhamma friends, today I am going to give an introduction to Jigten Sumgön's Vajra verses on the Fivefold Path of Mahamudra. And so, first of all, the Fivefold Path of Mahamudra is something that is not exclusive, a path that is not exclusive to the Drikung-Kagyu lineage, but it is practiced in all the different Buddhist traditions, actually. And that it has to be said because a new practitioner might think that there are all different paths, and all of these paths are separate from each other. In each of the lineages you have different paths and so on. But that is actually not the case, and that is what is being shown through the Fivefold Path. It shows that all the Buddhist paths really come down or kind of are included within essentially a single path. And even though we give it different names, there is one path really that we travel on, and there is one fruition to be attained. And to understand that point, that is why the Fivefold Path of Mahamudra is being taught. So we need to know that the Fivefold Path of Mahamudra is not just exclusive to the Drikung-Kagyu lineage, but is really actually practiced in all the Buddhist traditions, in all the different lineages. And so that is the reason why these teachings on the Fivefold Path are so precious.
사축샘송 사축샘 지와들이 내부 사지에 탑재가 사축샘 조를 뭐지스 마음부 사지에 탑재가 사축샘 다다 사지에 탑재가 사축샘 찍고 다투고 동찍왜 가이들이 찍리 참에 찍상 못한다 사축샘은 무슨 찍자면 나바 사지에 윤이 좀게 그리 많이 당스러워 좀 사람이다 얘나야 탐지거든이 사축심 송구 요말데 삼지 삼시 그요래 근데 동물스 때나야 되니 이거서 가자 펜티 마창직 나는 양들이 마당 버글 레와티 삼찌르지니 오 마티가 빵을 뽑을때 오늘 뽑을때 스바치 보여래 가래 때 스바치 보쳐야 될 가래 때 마다 보 삼찌를 레바라티니 내가 뚝대기 오늘 삼찌가 윤띠니 봐 대다와 하구나 또 무거거든요 당 삼찌지 용 뒤에 하고를 땡고 또 나말았더니 삼지 때는 상첩 되는 우리 상첩 소리 사지 봐도 요 말이지.
So the first point on the fivefold path is bodhicitta, and that is really what all the Buddhas of the past have taught. It is really just the precious bodhicitta, and that is what all the Buddhas of the future will teach, and also the present Buddhas teach really just that, the precious bodhicitta. And so all of the different Buddhist traditions really essentially speak of just that in essence. And in fact, it's not just the Buddhist traditions, even non-Buddhist religions, for example, they might not call it bodhicitta, but everyone is speaking of loving kindness, love and compassion. For example, in a family, the love between a mother and a child, there is this connection between them that is because of love. And when the mother has her child on her lap, the child feels happy. And that is because of that bond of love that they share. So even the slightest happiness that we experience is a quality of love. And that is what we first need to understand. And that is really, from that quality of love, that is really where the qualities of the Buddha, of enlightenment, then arise from. So this term Buddhahood or enlightenment is Changchup in Tibetan, so to purify and to fully master, and that all arises from the quality of love. But then the complete state of purification and mastering of Changchup or enlightenment is something that only the Buddha had accomplished.
Then it's shocking. So Jabro Lodini Sanji Chutan Genuson of Sanabak Jamneris controls with Jab the Kadi Body, Kate Japko ordinary. Terrain is Zonti Sancho part that are Japta Che. Oh, this Sancho Che Kangre Tata Mata Pogawala Santi Chung the Yovan V. Simply Tamchele, simply Tamchele Jelly Mate. 다 인증 로데 로가 사와강제 다지디 로데 자라니 매바찬 쭉 가되면 습지 탐지 파마마데와 하고는들이 가되는 라면 습지 탐지 신의 죄는 맞도 다지바 지지 매와 창 다지디 고접 상첩적 상제 다지디 로데 파상니 다 입신 로데 철철요래 디 마제 파도 철냐나랑들이 오 다 진지 로망도가 인fin지 로망도 상고 땅들이 때지나 들이 다 잡고 땅항에 가지는더니 섬진 잡지는 지나고 오만 병도 섬진 잡지도 상 대대로 쳐와졌잖아 다 상초고 쳐와지네 들이 문제들이 삼바체미 봐서 삼바체미 봐지나 들이 simply 탐색했잖아. 대상 대바들이 고도 사족서도 공고래 산속 받다를 잡듯이. 들이 대라 고소서 가르치고 그러는 사지 그 람상고데 띠요래 사지게. 이 상지 답고자 사지 좀 뒤마다 시트가 상지 장보이마 상지 윤띠 하고 말이 상지도 답고자 답고요매 람데 사지 좀 뒤지 람데 답고자네. 들이 공사축 쳐놓고 은혜 당지매가 차네. 이 시그라마 토대열이 사지 대그 고요래지. 취시바디 따지방에 들이 파상 탑잠이라 망고 요래. 들이 르가가 좁아 파신 쪽 들이 상한 조소이나 더발라 탑잠이라 망고 요래. 대라지네 대사지 취시바디 탑잠이라 요래. 대회를 취시바디 대고요래지. 그 레좀 제시기 다 당연히 가와서도 남들은 봐 탐지 취래 대상 파다지의 파상탑 이비도 저바 탑들이 취래.
So in the morning we begin with reciting the refuge prayer, and we are taking refuge in our places of refuge, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And so then now when we take refuge in the three jewels, then now how until when do we take refuge? It is said that from today onward, until attaining that state of Buddhahood, until then I take refuge in the three jewels. And then for the like how much we take refuge, as in like how we will actually be protected by the three jewels. So we are protected when we give rise to the inner refuge, which is the mind of love. Just like that love that exists between a mother and her child. And that kind of feeling of love then must be developed for all sentient beings. And then in all your activities, whatever you do with body and speech, then there is no more selfish intent at all. It's completely gone. And all there is in your mind all the time is only sentient beings. And you always remember that those sentient beings have been your parents. So then there comes this time when you have perfectly developed this relative bodhicitta, and at this point all that is in your mind is sentient beings, and you do not think about yourself at all any longer. So that is when we have purified self clinging, or this selfish intention, the selfish mind. And that is when we have perfectly mastered the altruistic mind. And until that is achieved, we have to engage in practice. And we should look at our own mind to see what is stronger in my mind. Is it really my intent to benefit others, or is it my selfish motivation? So then when you find that at all times I'm always thinking of sentient beings and I'm never thinking about myself, even at night when I wake up from sleeping, instantly I just think of others, when that feeling always remains in your mind, then the relative bodhicitta has arisen in your mind stream. And that feeling of love is immeasurable, and it is for all, for every being. And until that has arisen and always remains in your mind, until that point you have to practice to cultivate the relative bodhicitta. And so when we take refuge until enlightenment in the three jewels. And the reason why we take refuge in the three jewels, first in the Buddha, is because the Buddha has shown us this excellent path. He has shown us that what we need to hold on to is love. And that is something that we can really only know because the Buddha has shown it to us. Otherwise, no one would really understand the quality of love and wouldn't be able to hold on to it. But so through the Buddha and through the path that the Buddha had given us, we learn to do that, to hold on to love and to not let go of it. And then if we keep doing that, self-grasping will just disappear and the mind will attain freedom. And so that is why it is necessary that we take refuge in the Buddha. And then for the Dharma, there are many different methods in the Dharma, and the Dharma is basically a method to purify the mind, to accomplish all of that. And there is different practices, like the conduct of body and speech, mainly of the 6 paramitas, and in the Vajrayana, the offering of the 7 branches, and so on. So the teachings on karma, starting the whole path on learning how difficult it is to find the precious human body, and then all the stages of the path that come from there. All of these different stages of the path are the Dharma, and the purpose of the Dharma is to purify this perception of self. And the Dharma is a method to perfect the practice of altruism, the mind of altruism that seeks the benefit of all beings.
Dela tata yinda ga lamje rba tamche ta tep mambo yore sheba jachbo mambo yore de yinang de tabi chu zawa semla tokde yore jiktin sogo sogo semle da ho rang ge sem saji tokde rang ge semden dorgo sogo re de dorgo na rang ge sem rang su sem chokko re shirab de min rawo re namdo de da rawo re di per ko yore 다운은 다 니요래 다까보서 나포 니요래스 제나니 데레 다까보서 가리리 인핀을 로래스 라리 소디면은 소바나지 조부사지 인핀 셈는 총세 다까보서 상제래스 다과 상제가 남도 대성을 냠도 좋나 이주 내가 내가 평파다 다도 되와 좋은 거요래스 다 나보다 다지는 로래스 동네 말에 나된 돌이 용소다 추탐지가 싸워려는 소들 말이 뒤는 소마데 인피를 로데 용띠 개와래 아 개와도 먹여 니시 용나 추탐지를 개와라고 개를 심득하래 심 개와인 거래 심 개와 가래서 삼제래 오 랑이 시랍디 삼제에서 준시 매반도나 다초 사제 공방 내가 토이던 다도 사제 공방 통고요 했어 다초 딱와 다 지는 걸로 대상 줘나 다초 랑그 바당 주마 가간 보고 자고요 했어 다 냠도 대토고 말했어 다 chẳng 대도 내가 대다면 마치 내가 동에 대다 다톡 대리더니 민송스를 좀 파토고요 말했어 대하고는 다초 상당히 다的雄势상당经济那多的小的你小个상당经济大的大国家过来是这大国家就大了的人能谁不去上这的大国家呢这另外一个做罢了的无所有过来是大牌了的什么大人嘛这种做吧对啦说吧大地上就让一个用过来是去慢慢来是让一用过来是对不对인피지 또 셈을 삼제 오데 되니 졸라고 까니 그래 용아가 사와답지 인피로 제 마쳤나 들이 졸음 다소 사지 공방 되어서 뭐 톱톱고 말해서
So regarding the different stages of the path of practice, there's a lot of scriptures, many books that you can read, and there's so much commentary on all of that. But the root of all the Dharma is the mind, and that is also what Jigten Sumgön had said. And the Buddha also had said, you have to tame your own mind. And to tame your own mind, first you have to look at your own mind, turning inward. And so here in this first verse by Jigten Sumgön, your own mindfulness, your awareness is like a person, and then your thought, your state of mind is like a horse. So that person is riding the horse, or your mindfulness is riding the horse of the different states of mind. And so basically there is two horses, a white horse and a black horse. And the white horse is the horse of altruism. In the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says, the perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind. So that altruistic mind of love, this thought, this state of mind of love, is this white horse. And awareness must ride that white horse. And if it rides that white horse, then there will be a temporary benefit and you will achieve ultimate happiness. And then the black horse is the horse of the selfish mind. Again, in the 37 practices, it says, all suffering comes from wishing for one's own happiness. Really, the 37 practices are the root of all Dharma. And so the quality of the altruistic mind, that altruistic mind is what we call virtue. And then everything that's not that is non-virtuous. So what we call Dharma, all the Dharma is virtues because it is based on the altruistic mind. So in order for the mind to be in a virtuous state, you must have love in your heart. And so then if that horse of awareness goes together, rides that, or the person of awareness and rides the horse of love, then temporarily you will always be born in higher realms and ultimately attain enlightenment. And so on the other hand, if you're riding the horse of selfishness, then in the end you will end up alone. You will even separate from your family, even your children, your husbands and wives and so on. No one can stay together with you. So even in this life already you will experience a lot of suffering. And then ultimately also later in future lifetimes you will not be able again to raise yourself out, lift yourself out of the 3 lower realms. So you have to ride the horse of love and compassion. So that state of mind of love and compassion must be sustained with awareness. And now a sign of someone having done that is that someone who has developed love and is also holding on to it, it will also reflect in their activities of body and speech. And that's really essential. Our inner state of mind of love must also be reflected in our activities of body and speech. It must be reflected in our conduct. And so that is where the paramitas come in, of generosity, for example, of ethical discipline, of patience, and so on. These qualities in our outer conduct will naturally arise. And they are not fabricated, but they naturally arise because the mind is in a state of love. And so that's really important because even if there is some love in your heart, if you don't actually engage in practice and engage then in activities, also with body and speech, if you don't seal your activities of body and speech with that altruism, then it will also not be possible to swiftly attain that state of ultimate awakening.
Keren da zorum la soba pe zabgare da mudo ta kare kadi jede sa na jikare taka so na jikare song chol cham te ro yore de yena de mudo ya ko ma cha na mudo chu sa chok se ji phu lo de jure ma chi na lunga ge le ka chama de yong ti jao ne chung che ge dab do yore so mudo de chu sa ba che me ba jure ne ti pu na lunga mgiwa tabjele kiwari jatko mudo chika sabores sanchok seng mudo do yimpi lo de mudo do mudo sanchok sabres muja sanchok sabje gores tatung rewa sanchok sabre mudo da muja da tatung rewa ye lam rewa samje shegore ye sender gores lam kari dadi dong gores Revetri saved Dadi the Tawatian Revetri in by your mares. They were down Mudo Sabaret, Mudo Nanitri, Sanchok Savibade, Ha go, Terang Jury Tiva, take each of your reso. Mudo Bataka Sajate, Taji, Sanchok Samachi, or Chief Tab race, Tab Mambo race.
And so therefore in this verse, on the verse of Bodhicitta, it says then, so therefore you should apply yourself earnestly in the preliminaries. And so also elsewhere, Jigten Sumgön says that to others, the main part practices are more important, but to me, the preliminaries are really most profound. So those main part practices, so there are some people who don't really give a lot of importance to the preliminary practices, and they think that other higher practices are much more profound. For example, they say that the deity yoga, the development stage and the completion stage and so on, and these practices are really profound. And the preliminaries you can sort of do on the side a little bit here and there, and and once you have the numbers, then you are done with it, basically. So some people have this kind of view. But actually, unless you have really established a firm foundation of the preliminaries, a true state of altruism will actually not arise. And when that doesn't arise, then even if you have 100 great qualities, let's say, they all are obscured by that single fault. And so then they become useless in a way. On the other hand, if your altruism is really solid in your mind, then whatever you do naturally will become virtues. Just naturally, nothing will be obscured. So that's actually really essential. And so that's the actual preliminary. The actual preliminary practice is bodhicitta, or the altruistic mind, or love and compassion. And that's actually also the main part practice. It is to develop bodhicitta, and it is also the fruition. In the end, we must have developed perfect bodhicitta. So it's the preliminary, it's the main part, and the fruition. Or it's the basis, the path, and the result. The basis is the mind, that mind of bodhicitta. And the path is to destroy that perception of that there is a self. And then the fruition is to completely separate from self-grasping entirely. And so that's it and nothing else. And for this reason, the preliminaries really are so important, so profound. And through that, you really begin to understand the qualities of bodhicitta. And then those qualities arise in your mind. So that's really very important. Much more important than accumulating numbers of the preliminaries. So all of these various practices really are many different methods only to develop bodhicitta.
상지 유리요래 대탐식에 남들은마다 하고는 치를 싸도 좋아요래 남들은마다 탐식을 레리 레도도 레리를 설명드려 랩고요래 마도 저게 세력 나서고 협정진 오늘 시송이 다자당이 하고서는 저거 요래 뭐서 나과 사제베 때마다 대라고 말이 당부 고성 이 양당 용지 꼴람 탐지에 살로도 용고래 또 어디는 좀 살고 근데 대리 저게 말이 되더래 저도면서 고용 또 선마도는 나와 사제베 남의 속투고요 말이 대왜 꼰초선지 사제 좀 받고 주송 받고 띠만내 받고 뒤지세 좀 받고 지신 종라들이 냠 철긴 리터봐 하정 꾸보 차요 봐 이 이기는 공부했다고 해서 꼰초선 되겠다요래 그 대회 다다다 그거 뭐 이제야 변을 담정이가 갈세 고요리 되나 오 매일 공부리들 그 잡을 미망 자성하라 그랬지야 미망 자성은 미치라 대화도가 동행도 딱 지었다가 같이 대화 사이로 주는 게 요래 같이 동이 치에서 시작을 요래지 같이 따서로는 미는 미치고 말아 와서 대상으로는 때 가래 그 제발이 또 저기 제발이 말이 되면 용기 제청을 했지 어때 용기 제청 따르는데 딸 레그 왕그 당호 파마상부터 대그 찾긴서부터 대그 개gin하고도 대이 전인이 막 끼가 끼와는지는 원래 그들이 쳐고 얼마지 레들 항상 레비아 되려고서 말했어 담전지가 와서 담전 조제지 상로 당은 직진간 매리나 매리인지 가래도 소설 가래 창도 되나 들이 담전 조제지 그거 하가 가면 뭐 로모 장고 빵고지나 nga melide haja tsachi bore yasi ben tro ju tina ko gan semchu pare si ko dungi kare do ngar dewa kare do ha ti joyo sare rawang mo do ta joyo ko so mo do ti da jon ji ka ni to ti chama ta ba le ju de ta to jum de to do yo le ta tok chi go do do ji jum de so ame ba ti ha ko ko yo le
So then, if you wonder if do we really need the different stages of the preliminaries, so we absolutely need those stages. They are the most supreme method of practice, actually. And so, of course, there is some individuals who just naturally can develop these qualities, and that is because they have already practiced extensively in previous lives. And as a result of that, now in this life, they naturally also come with a greater sense of love. And then they will just naturally understand the different stages of the path, and it will naturally be clear to them. But so the point now is that each step on the path has a certain fruition that has to be accomplished, as a certain there's a purpose for each step on the path, and that purpose must be accomplished. And that is not like studying something worldly, for example, science. Now, if you're doing a course in science, then you go in stages, in steps, and then once you know one step, you can kind of check it off and say, I'm done with that. Now I know that. Next step. But so that doesn't really work in the Buddhist practice. It's not enough to just know something or understand something, but it's also necessary to really experience it and to really apply that in your real life, in all activities, until you realize, which is the third step. And when you realize, then you are completely certain that this is it. And even if anyone tells you otherwise, you would not move from your conviction. You are certain. And so this is how we need to go along the path. It's not enough that we just know something or understand something. And so so that is why it is said the three jewels, or this entire path, is so rare. The three jewels are rare. It is first of all rare for the Buddha even to appear, and then it is more rare than that for the Buddha to teach the Dharma, and then even more rare for the Dharma to remain, and then even more rare for there to be followers of the Dharma. And then what's extremely rare is to find someone who actually practices the Dharma properly in an authentic way. It's so rare, just like a wish-fulfilling jewel. So that's why we call it the three jewels, or rare and supreme ones. And so we practice the 4 stages of the preliminaries. So there is a purpose for each of those steps. For example, why is it necessary to think about the difficulty of finding a precious human life? So we say, first of all, a precious human life is very rare. And someone who doesn't understand that might just think, how can it be rare? There's already too many people in this world. It doesn't seem to be rare. But then when you look closer at the experience of all those people in the world, their experience of happiness and suffering and so on, there is some people who really enjoy God-like pleasures and wealth, enjoyments. And then there's others who suffer so much that often they commit suicide. And so not everyone is exactly the same in this world. And then so what's the difference now? The difference comes down to the cause that was created. And people might think that no, I have different qualities and that's why there's a difference. But it really has to do with karma. It is all determined by karma. Your karma determines, first of all, what kind of parents' womb you enter, what kind of parents you get, and that determines what kind of life circumstance you're born into. And then in that life circumstance, then karma also determines like what resources are available to you, what opportunities are available to you. Will you find a proper teacher and so forth? So actually karma already begins the very moment you take birth. So it's not just the immediate ripening in, it could either go this or that way in this life, but a lot of things are already predetermined by your karma in terms of what life circumstance and opportunity and so on you are born into. And so this is what we reflect on when we think about the difficulty of finding a precious human body and its 18 qualities. And then one asks oneself, do I have these qualities and which ones do I have? For example, even if you're a very poor person, then you can, if you really understand all of this, you would think that even though I'm very poor, I still have a precious human body. And now if I compare myself to an animal, for example, an animal and me, we are the same. Our mind is exactly the same. But then this animal experiences so much suffering, whereas I actually experience much more pleasure and well-being in this life. So when you look at it from this perspective, then you will have really like an aha experience. You feel like this is really not arbitrary. This has a cause. So the cause is one's own karma. And so this is how you reflect on that, and then you move on to reflecting on the impermanence of this life, and then mainly karma. So ultimately, from the preliminaries, what we really need to understand, that one thing that we really need to clearly understand ultimately is the unfailingness, the infallibility of karma, cause and effect.
Yeah, that tamjoji gini tamjoji kawade gombo kapse da chekdani se samutang deblo samutang da rbi jino samutang sel choade jiagore. Oh, yeah. The really get the Tala Jagan or something, Tatang so, Zambul Chayana, Navasajivati Cassetto, yeah. The Nanitri, Chushi Cassetto, Chushok to Cassetto. This something. Oh, how don't know how to combo is. When you send a toy, God did it, toy, get it in. 네 시바들이 같이 요래 초와도 맞지를 때 차라로도 초와도 맞지를 당연 거면 양도 로네 되기는 너는 좀탈 오하 머리도 짜치 버리지 로아 적는 머리도 네 제발 박발이 손을 매용띠 하거나 그 머리 인장 따다다 다와지지 하고 평기고 내려오는 가리고 내려오는 가리 이 통로 초와를 지금 깝들이 초와를 내지더니 시합도 같이 요래 메소당도 같이 요래 시합도 갈리 양도양도 째고래 제전다 다 물다 쳐버리지 하고나 다 처음부터 봐서 멀리 이제도 대왕도에 독서로다가 다 처음마다 봐도 마시나 그래서 다온 쳐가지고 마시려 말이 로그 나도 가르치는 대양마다 마시는 나는 맞을 똑같은 달로 쓰면 돼요래. 뒤나기는 받치 뭐요래. 로를 나도 담다 봐야지. 너도 장이 조자도 장이 삼치 마다 봐래서 마다 보고 하고 때는 문진 신은 문진 봐 연구요래. 이 신은 문진 생제 장마대 듣고요래. 같은 진행들이 선대 용어진지 초등이 차용을 들이 남는 탈속과양들이 상태지들이 용과 내쪽이 요 말에 This on what I'm doing, Chama about the young penguin, Lapodata, lower they are doing Sasa, the Georgian upon what to oh, the joker knew what's on your to that don't need go on Chama, legend something. Asking Chivo, there's some Gorajami, there is some of them. There is that neck up the million tablet, show the Jabatari, there's a called it in legend, there's a corner. There is Tanjong Higa and Choamataba, Lamsang in Sawa, Train to Piore, Pure Chimbo.
And so when you reflect upon the difficulty of finding a precious human body, then you can read a book on that, and as you go through the different subjects, the different points that explain why it is so difficult to find the precious human body, you should really think about each of these points that are being made. And now thinking about it also implies that a feeling must be generated as you think about each of these points. For example, when you come to the section of reflecting on the 8 freedoms, then as you reflect upon each of these points, a real feeling must arise in your mind. For example, when you think about how many Buddhists are there in this world, how many have really understood the Buddha's teachings, how many actually practice it properly, and so on. And then you find like, oh, it is so few. It is really so rare, actually. A real feeling of like an amazed feeling of how rare it really is arises. And when that actual feeling arises, then your mind opens up. And that's really very important and that's why it's not enough to just understand something. Because if you just read something, if you read a book on that, you understand it, but then it doesn't generate a feeling in you, then your mind is not opening up. For the mind to open up, you need to develop that feeling. And that feeling can only be developed if you really internalize something or reflect upon something. So in the end, after you have really reflected on the precious human body, you really feel that that this human existence is really so precious. And among the 6 realms of samsara, it is the most precious kind of birth that we can take. And so that is how you feel when you, for example, understand the 8 unfree states. So you think about each of them. How is it if I'm born there, and so on. So a feeling must arise. And when that feeling arises, then your awareness, your wisdom really opens up. And it is a gradual process. You have to reflect on this again and again, and again make your mind open up. So once you have really understood and really feel how precious this human life actually is, then you would move on to reflecting on death and impermanence. And so we are reflecting on death and impermanence, the impermanence of this life, and not just in this ultimate sense of this life will end and we will die, but also what's really important is the momentary impermanence of things. In our mind, the thoughts in our mind are impermanent. They are momentary thoughts arising in the mind. For example, when we don't understand that point, this impermanence, then we are really running into making a grave mistake here that causes a lot of harm. For example, if you had a disagreement with someone last year, and then this year, you still cling to that in your mind. You can't let go of it. And that causes a lot of harm. So it's important to also see the impermanence in a momentary sense, that especially the impermanence of your inner mind. The thoughts in your mind are impermanent. And enemies and friends and so forth, all of that is impermanent and constantly changing. So eventually, through reflecting on impermanence in this way, you will actually achieve a state that does not grasp at anything anymore. And when you don't grasp at anything, then the mind just abides in a very clear and pure state. Otherwise, the more you grasp at things, the more stirred up with mud the water of your mind will become. So ultimately then, when you have completed that practice, then afflictive emotions just can't stay in your mind any longer. And so again and again, you reflect on that point of impermanence in this way. And especially at times when you encounter suffering. When suffering is very intense, what's important to understand here also, especially at that point, is karma. There is a cause to that. And the cause are your own afflictive emotions. So those first 3 points of the preliminaries are actually interrelated. The precious human body and impermanence and karma, and they are most important. And if you have them internalized within your mind, they are actually the greatest method for you to become free from suffering. And then of those 3 points, the most important one actually is to understand karma, cause and effect. And if that is very clear, then actually also the other points of impermanence and precious human body and so on, they will also become clear. So what's very important really is to understand the workings of karma.
초안마다 para 레좀데 야부 마시나 다 답도 초라는 로요레지 이 소리 따뜻한 잠불리는 수고 전부 동절지 니라지 저는 류는 나참이 봐 sem로 등임이 봐 들체는 뭐 대삽지 대지 마고 요레지 대삽지 가려서 안 거예요 오 나랑 그 라도 그 나 나자 좋었지는 오 나랑 그 협동체 와요 나랑 그 라도 톱송지 this of the unit. Marriage. Legend machine is on the Zoya Yori. Young Mama Jambara Rajing Sancho Santi machine. As soon as I told Jamba Chitam Lasso was awesome, this one of the meaning of Yori. This one of the just a catching Mercedes Zoro. Mercedes Zoro, Chetu Sopona, Semi Bago Taro Yori. 소마사죠 같이 냅더고 같이 마시바래 대기요래 대답이 가이가 냅더고요래 되나 다스는 마시면 레좀제 마시바래 레좀제 마시리 중게 레좀제 마시네 다되게 수능지 싸나야 산초로 뭐 마시네 이는 피바적 내 코피 맞죠요 삼 Ramjiga hingido or Solonsana, this on the said where I already never to dream it our race, never to dream it and never to Zorro yours. Oh, Kachela, then change it in Congress Arch and Cedra Zoyameba, Giovanni Ceramambo Zoyameba, that was an yours. The Congress young my late Jumdation, Yuntinatini, or Jumdation, Jumdika shield. Oh, 다당서 대화 중재도 가리 옥지 삼재가 레게 지는 점아담을 되어가 속고 차도 하지 삼재의 대별 레게 소조 바방아 체험 차도 하지 되는 가기 이제 소르고 소답고 doctor 계고 그러나 수남도 just 맞추고 제도 요래 제 제바데 제와는 제와 체랍을 내가 소리게 대화 저 제도 보자 시요래 등이 정도의 용태 수의 제발이지 시당의 제발이지 차도의 제발이지 선악의 제발이지 먹기 쪄대 유모가 나디는 집에 먹기 쪄 대랍지 나중에 차고 먹기 쪄 찌찌레레서 하고는 라지 것들이 약하고 청보를 빵으로요 뺏어요 레주레이션아 딜이 수는 거지만 투는 거죠 딜에 문조 저라 답존이 가와 처음부터 봐 마시나 오 엄마 제대로 속고차 되는 거로 내 가영을 산이 셔타들 레그지서 나오마도더니 마찬가지 손은 직접 코사요 말이지. 다 얘기 설명나. 들이 송태도 그래 마시베. 들이 좀 그래서만 통별내가 망고치. 얘네도 봤당. 랑그 진시 지왕 도저 배피에 땅에 들이 이제 얼마나 때려 배주다는 망보요는 잡을리 작합 탐지는 대탐지 동행까지 냠냠냠 요래 대타를 오다 레지브리 시바까지 셀레기 짓을 장관도 대위에다 조건은 며칠들 다 삼대에다 보자 걸지고도 다 삼대에는 너무나지 그 산속 생존을 뭐지 다른 그 소드 리다 소 디바이 얼마지 맞아 말이지 골라로데 삼대들 나야 요면 오 새는 삼대들은 주님만 원에 삼대들이 오래요 이 정말 조건을 이 통거리 멜로피도 나 말랑 원에 삼대들 랩도 그런 샤나 삼대들 가냐면 그래 삼나 들이 데르티니 들이 레좀데디 시바 카치오에 들이 삼대들이 인디하고 요래 들이 며칠인데라 내가 또 가리다 삼대들 산이 시디 잡을이 야고 차고 손 딜로한테 그런 셋업공도 없어 베스에다 버렸잖아 들이 저만 받다 봐 레좀데디 들이 답적을 주제 로도 남았지 데르티니 삼단이지 따라와서들이 고통도 없어 삼단이지 따라 shum어서
So now we have understood that we found a precious human body, and so now knowing that, and what should we do with this body? So now we can, one could think that now I have this wonderful body, so I should use it to have a good life, to have a happy time here. But that's not the best use of this precious human body. So once you understand that you have found a precious human body, you also have to understand impermanence and karma. And if you don't know that, you are going to waste your precious human life. For example, if you're very rich, many people in this world are very rich, or other people are famous, some people have a lot of influence or power, or some they're never sick, and some people are always happy in their minds and so on, have a long life. All of that exists in this world. And if we don't understand karma, then you might think that, oh, that is because I have achieved this. I've achieved this with my own abilities. So you're taking pride in your achievements. You, for example, think it's because I studied very hard and so on. But this is not how it all is. If you don't understand karma, then that merit that you are currently experiencing will come to an end. Because you don't know that you are experiencing this merit, this wealth, for example, because you have practiced generosity in a previous life, and you have practiced generosity with a mind of love, or you have practiced ethical discipline. Of course, if you practice that karma will ripen, that merit will ripen. But then, for the most part, it also will come to an end in this life, even in this life. For example, in the early part of your life, you might be very rich, and then in the later part of your life, you lose everything, like your business goes down, and so on. So often it doesn't stay for our entire life even. And why does it go down? That is something we can only understand if we understand karma. If we don't understand karma, even though we are creating some merit, we are not actually dedicating that merit for the state of awakening. And then if you do something good to others, then you might think that I did something great to help that person. And there might even be some compassion involved, and you're doing something meritorious. But that kind of merit is like the lamp flame, the fire flame in an oil lamp. And when the oil is exhausted, then the fire is extinguished. And then there is some, no matter what they do in the Dharma or in the world, it never comes to an end. Even in future lifetimes, their merit never comes to an end. And that is because they have really understood karma. They have understood the quality of karma already in previous lives. And so what does that mean to understand karma? It means that, for example, if you experience the slightest well-being, then you know that this is because I have done something with a mind of love. I have been generous, that's why I'm rich. So now I must be generous again. Or if you have a long life, it is because you have saved the lives of others with a mind of love. So now I must again do that. I must save the lives of others. So such a person who understands karma will know how to sustain this continuum of merit, also in future lifetimes. And then as a result of that, in future lifetimes, they will know how to create the causes of the happiness of the higher realms. And then even if you experience the slightest suffering, then you would recognize who has created that. It was created by my own hatred, by my jealousy, by my stinginess. The 10 non-virtuous actions all are committed with an afflicted mind. And that afflicted mind arises due to the grasping at a self. And so if you understand that, if you understand karma, then you will just naturally avoid all non-virtuous conduct, just like it is your law, just like following the law. So you know how to carry on that continuum of merit. And so now, if you do not understand that, if you do not have this foundation of the preliminaries, if you don't understand the difficulty of finding a precious human life, impermanence and karma, then you will be distracted by the pleasures, the richness and so on of this life. And when you die, you will still follow your own karma. But at that time, you will not be able to bring any of that with you. So because you don't understand karma also, you will also do a lot of things in this life that are contrary to the understanding of karma. So you will do a lot of negative things that hurt others. And that karma you will bring with you into future lives. You will hurt others, you will harm them, you will abuse them, you will destroy them, and so forth. And there is a lot of history we can see in this world. In many countries this has happened. And now we can see what kind of suffering they experience. So it's really most important that we understand karma. When you die, you will follow your own karma. So the one important thing in this life for us to develop is a mind of love. That love is like your jewel. That is why it is called the precious bodhicitta. Your body, your life, you will not bring any of that with you. It is impermanent and you will have to leave it behind. But what you will not leave behind is your mind of love. And for example, if you have a mind of love, even in your dreams, that will be reflected in your dreams. Whoever you encounter, you will see them as a friend. So that is how beneficial, how important that mind of love is. So you have to see that and really be convinced that when I am going to die, I have to bring that with me. I have to bring this mind of love with me. So understanding karma from this perspective is really extremely important. We need to understand the quality of love. And the most important mission of this life is to develop that, is to develop love. Because later when you die, that is the one thing that you will have to bring with you by any means. So this is how we now reflect on those 4 thoughts that turn the mind. And so basically, coming back to that verse, we need to ride that horse that brings us to the higher states. We need to ride the horse of love and compassion.
주도는 마다는 같이 하고 배우래. 그랬다 다더니 가만 좀 차장 배우를 차장 배우나 소양 대서는 뭐라 차장 배우고 sab고
So, Madama friends, many of you, maybe you have arrived quite early already today. So maybe you need to take a toilet break. And we take a 15-minute break for using the toilet. And if you don't have to use the toilet, you can just stay here and meditate.
Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum.